Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through the latest and most updated Snowflake Snowsight web UI. I'm going to take you through all the different features and tell you how you can use them so you can be most efficient at what you do. And I'm also going to show you how to sign up for the Snowflake trial from scratch. This isn't the 30-day trial. It's the 120-day student-focused trial, which requires a special URL. So I'm going to give you that in a description below and show you exactly what you need to do so you can get started with Snowflake today. Okay, guys, if you go down to the YouTube description, beneath this video, you'll find a link for the special trial version. And in here, and the great thing about Snowflake is you don't need to put a credit card in to get up and running. You just need to provide an email address, your name, and why you are signing up. We need to provide a company name. Let's just pick Enterprise. It gives you most of the features, and that's what we'll be covering today. Leave everything. Leave the cloud provider as AWS for now. The look and feel of Snowflake is the same regardless of the underlying cloud provider in terms of the user experience. Pick the region closest to you. It should pick this by default based upon your IP address that you're using. For me, that is Asia Pacific Sydney. Click you have agreed to the terms and click get started. You don't need to answer these optional questions. And in a minute or so, you will get an email. And here is that email. And all we have to do is click this to activate. Once you go to that link, you'll be prompted to provide a username and a password and confirm it. Once you click get started, you will be presented with this screen. We're going to skip the wizard to start with. Then we're presented with all of the fully functional services and features Snowflake offers within just over a minute without putting in any credit card or payment details in. We're going to now work through the left-hand side here, all of the features, and I'm going to talk you through what each of these do so you can quickly familiarize yourself and be more efficient in what you need to do in Snowflake. So with the projects, this is where we go to write code and interact with our data in Snowflake. We'll go to Worksheets first. One thing I don't like about this page in Snowflake is that it doesn't make it obvious if you're new to Snowflake where you need to go to start working with data, writing queries. It's this little blue box on the right-hand side, and unless you click on the drop-down to see SQL sheets, Python worksheets, you won't really know where to go. Once you do know, obviously it's easy, but when you first present the screen, it can be quite daunting if you're not familiar with Snowflake because you just don't know where to start writing code and interacting with your data. Once you know, you can drop into here and you've got a SQL worksheet. The nice thing is that recently incorporated over the last few months, these kind of little wizards and tips, which really help get you started. We don't need that for now, but this is where we can come in and actually write SQL statements. We can pick our databases. Snowflake will automatically ship some sample data and a relatively new learning database. We can also pick the different roles, and if you want to know more about roles, I've got another video on it, or I'll pop a tag up on the top for you to take a look at. We've also got the warehouses again, out of the scope of this video, but I cover it in a separate video that I'll put a link up. We can also share these worksheets with other people, very similar to how you would share Google Documents. So you can invite people by name or username in Snowflake if they've got access to it. You can provide different permissions as well. So view and run, view or can't view, which is the default. We've got this new workspaces, which you can open the current worksheet in. Notice that you have workspaces tagged onto the bottom here of project. So we've just jumped from worksheets down to workspaces. And workspaces is a new concept, or relatively new to Snowflake, where it's trying to create a more flexible UI for development, where you have your database explorer, your open worksheets organized for your working folders with projects, and you can write your SQL code within this environment. Worksheets will ultimately be phased out by Snowflake over time. Everyone will use this newer environment. Let's go to notebooks next. Notebooks up here. This provides a notebook experience that you might be familiar with if you use Jupyter Notebooks or similar programs. It's a cell-based notebook that can run with SQL, Python, and Markdown code. We can give it a name, and we can pick the database which it's going to sit within and the schema, and then we pick the warehouse that we're going to associate the notebook with. So we can run the Python code within a notebook. And that means what packages are available for us. If we run it on a warehouse, it's best for data analysis because you have the access to the Anaconda license packages that Snowflake offers out of the box. But if you want to do AI ML workloads within your notebooks, then you've got access to not just CPUs, but also GPUs, and that's optimized to handle data science workloads at scale. If you leave all those as default, it creates a notebook for you and gives you some handy starting points to show you what this looks like. We've got 3 cells in here, 2 Python, 1 SQL, and we can add Markdown, as you can see, with these tools. We can also connect our Git repository in the background. We can select database and create a Git repository in the background to ensure our code is versioned, and that opens the door to full CI/CD further down the track. We've then got Streamlit. So Streamlit applications allow you to create a web-based user interface without the need to understand HTML, CSS, responsive principles. It's all based in Python. And so Snowflake bought Streamlit for $800 million a couple of years ago and have spent time integrating it into their product. It's open source. Libraries are available as well. But this is what we call Streamlit on Snowflake. And it's the Snowflake flavor of Snowflake that's integrated into the product. We pick a warehouse that we want to associate our Streamlit app with. Again, we pick a database and schema similar to notebooks and give it a title. When we create this, it sends us into what appears to be another notebook style environment, but it's all Python code this time. We've actually got something to work with as an example. And the really great thing about the Streamlit applications is it provides a nice intuitive interface for end users to interact with. Here we have a slider where we can adjust the results on the fly, and it's all just written in Python. For example, this title we've got here is literally the Streamlit.title, and here's the code that we've got. Example Streamlit application, the balloon symbol, and then the version of Streamlit that we've got. Right then allows us to write particular text. So you can see here, this text just appears directly on the web page. To do our slider, it's actually really easy and intuitive to write, even if you're not familiar with Python. The great thing about this, it's running in Snowflake, it's using the data that you already prepared and secured within your Snowflake environment, making it secure, responsive, and efficient to work with. A great thing to explore if you have a need to give your users access to your data in an interactive way without the need to add additional tools. So that's Streamlit. Next, we're going to move on to dashboards. Now, dashboards are a way that you can create visualizations based upon your data in Snowflake. Just using SQL statements or Python, you can add what you call tiles. Tiles can look like tabular data, bar charts, pie charts, that kind of thing. So we're going to create a new tile, which is what you place on a dashboard. And to do that, we need to specify the SQL that we want to use. I'm going to create a basic query using the Snowflake sample data. You will find this same data set in your own environment. I'm going to join the customer and nations tables together and pull out a nation name, mark it as segment, and the average account balance and the account of total customers. So it'll look something like this. Over here, you can click run as normal, but here, if I click return to test, it brings that into one of the tiles on my dashboard. Now, it's just in the tabular version at the moment, and I can share this dashboard, similar how you can share worksheets and workbooks. You can also then run it within here, and you can even add filters as well. And if you're interested in going a bit more deeper into this, I'll put a link above. So it's great having a table on here, but it doesn't make it that interesting or interactive. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new tile by clicking the plus button here. Click a new tile from SQL worksheet. I'll paste my same query again, but this time I'm just going to cut it down a little, and I'm going to have a nation, an average balance, and root by 1. And let's run that. So I can get the table data back, but this time if I click chart in here, you can see the average balance by different countries. This is no different to what you would see within your normal worksheets or workspace area in the UI. Everything is the same. You can amend this to get it looking exactly how you want it by labeling the axes, changing the order of the bars, changing the bar size, the order direction, and that kind of thing. If I left it like this and click return to test, it actually adds that visualization on here. Now, it's not going to replace the Power BIs or tables of this world, but it does give you something out of the box that allows you to create and share dashboards and simple visualizations relatively easy. And as I mentioned, you can add these filters on here to actually start then to filter the data by date and pass that through into your queries as well. So that is dashboards. Moving on, we got app packages. This is all to do with the native application framework. Now, what is that? Basically, native app framework is where you can incorporate business logic and build an application using components within Snowflake, such as Streamlit app, stored procedures and functions. You can use the Snowpark API, JavaScript, or SQL. Once you've built that native app, you can distribute it through the Snowflake marketplace. So in the app packages window, this is a little bit different from everything else because this is almost like a documentation portal. There's no functionality in here that I've been able to find. It just has a bunch of guides and links to documentation relating to the Snowflake native app framework, best practices, and so on. Removal from what you would usually find in the Snowflake web UI within Snowsight, and perhaps something that we'll see more regularly in the future, where it's going to act as a central repository or portal for you to not only do things using capabilities, but also to get information quickly within the reams of documentation on the Snowflake website. So that's App Packages, documentation portal for native apps. Template Sensor, this is quite interesting. As it says here, it's in preview at the moment. You may have noticed a little earlier on, if I come up to my Database Explorer in here, you've got this Snowflake Learning Database. This was shipped relatively recently with Snowflakes. Every version now has this in there. There's not a huge amount populated by default, but this is where templates are going to start to play a role. If I open this out, this is almost like a lot of pre-canned recipes, if you like, within Snowflake. For example, if I click load and sample data from AWS S3 with SQL, it's going to open a worksheet. And in this worksheet, it's going to already be populated with everything that I need to do to use this Tasty Bites dataset, a fictitious global food truck network provided by Snowflake. It's going to use the learning role that's already available and the learning warehouse, which is also being provisioned for Snowflake alongside that learning database. It's going to create a table. It's going to create a stage out to this quick start S3 location, which is where the raw data is stored. You're loading this data into the Snowflake Learning database from scratch. It's not current pre-populated. You're actually doing this on the fly, and then there's some various queries that you can run. But essentially what it's showing you here is to load sample data from an S3 location, in this case, Tasty Bites. And you can see in here under this featured templates area, you've got other stuff. So some of it opens in notebooks, and you can then filter it by what you're interested in. Data engineering, AI and ML, Snowflake basics, creating users in the SQL worksheets. If we click on that, it's going to open another worksheet template. And these are just essentially pre-populated worksheets within your Snowflake environment. Quite interesting to see this in here. I think that this is going to change and become more comprehensive in the future. And again, it's taking me back every single time to the dashboards that I had open before and directly from those worksheets as well. So in here, you've got worksheets, no workspaces yet. It's evolving quickly over time, but this gets you up and running with these pre-built notebooks or worksheets to get you going on common tasks that you may be interested in. And that completes our tour of the projects area in the Snowflake Snowsight Web UI. Hope you found that useful as part one. In the next part, we're going to run through the rest of the menu options, such as ingestion and transformation in the next section. So hope you found that useful. If you did, keep watching, keep subscribing. New videos coming very soon.